Welcome back to Rochester Living with Mark Siwiec and Corey James Moran, brought to you by Elysian Homes by Mark Siwiec and Associates. This is episode 179. Mark, how are you? Staying warm?
Actually, the temperatures are rising. So
It's balmy right now.
it is for the next week or so. Temperatures are, the high temperatures are in 30s or above. They even hit 40s sometime next week. So how about you?
You probably feel like you're back on the safari in Tanzania, right?
You're right, exactly. So
Me, how am I? Let's see, sickness update in the house. My wife
that's
got the
where I was
flu.
going. Yeah. Wait, 'cause Mom, this is your favorite part of it. I think my mom always like, his kids seem to be sick quite a bit. I'm
What
like,
are they eating?
are.
What is their diet? Do they have gummy vitamins yet? Yeah, no. So my wife got the flu, so I'm really tired because I've been just staying up with the baby all night for the past 4 days. So we're getting there, though. She's improving, so it's fine.
Well, there we go.
Trying to hold it
Good
together.
luck.
That's all I can do.
Oh, God.
Really exciting show planned for today. We've got a lot to talk about. AI in mortgage rates.
Oh, there we go. Yep. Interesting topic.
We'll chat about that. We'll talk about some more concerns from the bond market about what's happening with the new administration. Got a fantastic guest lined up. Sheriff Todd Baxter from Monroe County is here. I've never seen you not smile, by the way. I just want to point this out.
And that's what we got to talk about. We got to talk about this during the interview because he's a bit of an anomaly.
There's a windstorm, by the way, going on behind us. I don't know if it's being caught on the microphones, but just in case, we're not under attack. It's okay. It's just the wind. Let's jump into the market update.
Okay,
You ready?
great.
Okay. We're still going down for listings. We're going the wrong way.
That's insane.
We are at 334 for all of Monroe County right now. That's down from 353 just last week.
334 listings.
In all Monroe County, and I didn't pull out the new builds. So we're probably high 200s, to be honest, right?
Wow. And then if you pull out those properties under $200,000, which are usually properties in the ghetto, the more distressed areas of the city, there's usually about 200 of those.
Yep.
Meaning that there are probably 100, but it's playing out in terms of we're listing for sale this week. I think 4, 5, 6 properties, something like that.
Mine went live today. 70 Churchill on the west side.
There we go.
Let's go.
These properties are properties that are just going to everything we've put on the market so far this year. Doesn't matter what the condition, we're just getting multiple offers, and selling significantly over asking.
Well, we're seeing the phenomenon that we experienced last January of there's nothing out there, and buyers are refreshed coming off the new year. They're chomping at the bit, and they want to go.
Yeah.
So if you're a prospective
you
seller,
if you are a buyer, I'm sorry, if you're a seller, just call your agent. It doesn't have to be us. Just call your agent. Now is the time.
It'd be nice if it was us. I'd like it if it was us.
That would be nice.
But either way, we'll take more inventory any way we can get it.
Absolutely.
All right, under contract and pending, or sorry, 6 County region, didn't get there yet. That went down as well.
Okay.
Mostly fueled by Monroe County, to be honest with you, because there was 619 for the 6 County region. That dropped to 602.
Okay.
So we're seeing a little bit coming in the outside areas.
Yep.
But obviously the deficit in Monroe County not helping. Under contract and pending, that number just going up slightly. For Monroe County, 636. That's up from 633 last week.
Okay.
And then the 6 County region were slightly down, 993 last week, now to 988.
Wow.
All right. Let's get to what's...
Those are just insane numbers.
I mean, it's lower than last year, I feel like, right?
Yeah, definitely. Is
Is it possible? Are we going to see another year where the inventory is lower?
Yeah.
What happened to your prediction, Mark? You told me there was going to be more properties this year.
Like every other pundit, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Let's just put it out there. Like,
you were manifesting.
I don't know what I'm saying.
You were manifesting. It was wishful thinking.
Pull shit out of my ass and
hope that it sticks. All right. Let's get to the really interesting conversation because there has been some things happening this week in terms of mortgage interest rates. And oddly enough, one of your favorite topics, AI, is tied to this. Tell me about DeepSeek.
Okay.
And how it's impacting rates.
Okay, so DeepSeek is a large language model. It's the Chinese equivalent of ChatGPT, Perplexity, any of these bots. It's a very, very impressive AI that competes right now with ChatGPT. It was just released this past weekend, and they're able to do this at a fraction of the cost of what all of the U.S.-based models are having to pay in order to have the products that they do. So as a result of that, they released this thing, and the NASDAQ just plummets. Now, it's recovered since, but the NASDAQ plummets.
It's 3%, right? originally?
Yeah, it dropped 3%, and it went up. The Nasdaq went up 3%. But some of these companies and some of the ancillary companies. So there's a lot of need for in our current U.S. based models. There's a lot of need for electricity. All of the electrical companies, Constellation Energy in particular, dropped 20% because they all thought they were going to be building nuclear power plants. All of a sudden, we're realizing, okay, maybe the Chinese have a model in which we don't need the same kind of electricity, and we don't need the same number of GPUs or chips that are used to drive these models.
Okay.
NVIDIA dropped significantly.
17%.
I was going to say 17%.
$590 billion.
Let's just round that up to $600 billion exactly, which is more or less the combined value of the U.S. auto industry.
That's kind of a big deal, right?
That's insane. So,
what do you think the NVIDIA CEO is doing right now?
Jensen Huang,
Not having a great day.
The reality is he is still one of the wealthiest men in the world because this thing has just grown so much over the course of the past, a couple of years. It's enormous. Anyway, as investors are trying to find safety, and as they are putting it in the bond market. So as a result of that, all of a sudden the yield on the 10-year Treasury went down, and as a result, we're looking at lower interest rates this week. Emphasis on this week.
For now,
because we can talk about that in just a second. So I think we know a 30-year mortgage is at 7.0?
7.07.
Okay.
Which from last week, it was 7.08, but it had jumped up to, I think,
Yes.
7.17 at some point in between.
Exactly, yeah.
So it dropped back down. And then the 15 years at 6.49.
Yeah.
So this helped for the time being,
Yep.
but it seems to have minimal effect.
Right, because we got to look at what is playing out today versus long term. And there was just an article in the Times this morning in which as we've said over and over again, people are concerned about Trump and tariffs. I mean, you saw what happened with Colombia this past week. We'll talk
I heard
about
the
that in
income
just a moment.
tax was going away.
Is that right? And that's right. And what did he say last week? He was demanding
Rates go down.
Yeah, that rates come down.
That's
Yeah,
how that works.
demanding.
It's a strategy.
Yeah. So in addition to deporting immigrants, in addition to tariffs, in addition to perpetuating the tax cuts that currently favor the wealthy, Wall Street is now increasingly concerned about deficit spending and the enormity, the $1.5 trillion in additional deficit spending that they're anticipating. So that's just one more reason why it is that we think that the bond market is going to start to head in the opposite direction, because these things, as we know, they're being viewed by Wall Street as inflationary.
Yep. Which is the expectation, unfortunately.
Yep. And because they're being viewed as inflationary, bond market's going to go up, as will 30-year mortgage rates. Todd, do you want to weigh in on this?
I'm writing it all down. What are you talking about? There's a reason I'm a cop.
You've got bigger problems doing it.
Yeah, your problems are much bigger than this. We'll get to that in a moment.
Fascinating, really.
A big day today. We're recording this on a Wednesday. Yep. The Fed is meeting. Well, I guess big day as in they're meeting. Not really much expected. I don't see that they're
I think that didn't they start meeting yesterday? And I think that
well, it goes into
yeah. So today at 2:00, we'll find out whether or not there's going to be any increase in the federal fund rate. More or less, I mean, it's
no.
Yeah. The answer is it's just going to remain stable. What is going to be interesting is what happens at 2:30 when Jerome Powell takes the microphone, press conference, and tells the world in his Sphinx-like manner what it is. And you got to pretend, and read the tea leaves to try and understand where it is that he's headed.
Why can't he just tell us? Why does it have to be?
Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah. I don't know, but
he said that. What does that mean?
Well, it's like going back to I don't know, the Soviet Union back in the 1980s. Who was sitting where and what did that mean? So it's going to be a really fascinating press conference. There's going to be a lot of market movement as a result of this.
Okay, all right. Well, interesting stuff. We just see more AIs. Just more AIs pop up. Bonds go up. Rates go down.
Yeah, there we go.
Keep pumping up the AIs.
There we go. We like that. I like that idea.
All right, ready to get to our guest?
Yes, please.
All right. I mean, one of the best. Monroe County Sheriff Todd Baxter is with us. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, this is awesome. This is fascinating so far. I got a PhD in something. I just don't know what it was just then. You guys are brilliant. Really.
Yeah. Well, that's the end of our repertoire. Like we really don't.
Oh, good.
Know
Let's talk law enforcement
so,
a little simpler.
Here we go. Let's start with this.
Yeah.
I told you a moment ago. I've never seen you not smile.
Yeah.
How do you do it? I mean, we all have bullshit in our jobs, right?
Yeah.
Mark and I's bullshit in our jobs very much pale in comparison to the bullshit you deal with in your job.
Yeah.
How are you always so happy?
I think I'm blessed with that DNA. You know, you never let them see you sweat type thing. And you have a mission to do. You have a job function. And in particular, I've been blessed with the county sheriff position that, you know, you got to stay positive. It's contagious either way, so you might as well try and bring some positive to the story.
And you've been the sheriff since 2018?
2018, January 1, 2018.
And how long have you been on the force?
Well, we were just talking about the hash marks. So
that's right.
probably
Oh, that's right,
37 years I've been doing law enforcement.
Tell them
in
about
Monroe County.
the hash marks.
Yeah, so hash marks mean one hash mark for each 5 years of service in law enforcement. Military does it a little different for those military veterans out there.
Okay.
But law enforcement, one for every 5 years. So if you add them up, I'm old.
So there you go,
I'm
37
old.
years.
We'll leave it at that. I'll be 60 this year, believe it or not.
And I will say, we are so fortunate. I mean, I personally go to bed at night, and I know that almost everybody in this county goes to bed at night feeling safer and more comfortable knowing that you're the sheriff of this community. And that's not false praise. That is just, you know, I'm sure you've got polling numbers because you are up for re-election this year.
Yeah, it's campaign year.
And I would imagine the polling numbers, you know, whether you've done them or not, it's probably like Bob Duffy, when it is that he ran, like he had an 89% approval rating across the board for the chief of police at the time. I would imagine you enjoy similar positives because you've just created such goodwill here in the community.
Well, thanks. That's humbling. You made that statement. You know, our job is public safety, and either it is or it isn't. And a lot of it's to do with feeling too, right? I mean, do you feel safe? Do you feel secure? Can you let your family go out of the house in the evening and go enjoy an evening out? Those are important parts of law enforcement. That at least they have that presence of security and safety. And you can do things like you gentlemen are talking about, the flourishing markets and the fact that people can go out and, you know, buy homes and invest. It's all interrelated. Public safety is definitely interrelated in your business.
Yeah. Absolutely. And we can touch on that in just a little bit. But I love Corey's opening salvo here, his opening statement, only because, I mean, I've known you for a long, long while. I mean, you came to the house this past summer, and Mary, your wife, awesome.
Awesome.
If you don't know Mary Baxter,
blessing.
oh my God, she's just the best. I don't know, there was a shooting, like you tackled somebody in the parking lot. There was something like crazy. Mary had showed up, half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour earlier than you. You showed up, you had a burger, we put together a plate for you, and then you had to go back for whatever. But the whole time you were there, like you somehow have this amazing ability to just compartmentalize. And whatever it is that you were dealing with on the force, it just all went away. You sat down, we had a great hour together before you went back to work. That is such a skill, and it's just a privilege to be able to see that play out, as closely as we do. But the community really benefits as a result of that.
Yeah, well, thank you again. Those are awesome words, and I don't know why I've been blessed with these skills. All I know is that I was led in this direction to be a law enforcement officer, and now I'm the sheriff. Believe it or not, and if people would have seen me in 1983 leaving Jefferson High School, they would never predict I would be the sheriff of the county of Monroe. But so I'm a religious person. I got a lot of faith. My wife Mary, you mentioned her, and a drill sergeant back in 1983. Those three are the secret to this success.
1983. You've been together since '83.
Mary and I have been together since 1980. I met a drill sergeant in 1983 that helped discipline me and give me my values.
Okay, gotcha.
In the United States Army. What I'm trying to do, give credit to the Army here.
Because I know that you met Mary in high school.
Yeah, high school sweethearts.
Yeah. Look at that.
She did not like me the first year, so it took me a year to work on that.
But then once she started to like you told me stories.
Yeah, then she couldn't resist, obviously.
Then she was chasing you.
Yeah.
But you have told me a story. She became a little possessive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So,
right, we
won't go that in this story, but she's got that Italian blood in her boy.
So we'll again get into some of the parts of the job and the things that you deal with that. But I also wanted to mention, on top of having this immense position in our community, you're also a partner at Baxter and Barnes Leadership.
Yeah.
You're on the board of directors for the Boys and Girls Club of Rochester, an adjunct professor at Roberts Wesleyan College, and the really interesting little nugget about you are these Baja trips.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there we go.
I mean, this was the documentary that was done. 2 years ago, a year and a half ago.
Real quickly before we get into Baja, because there's one more thing that you didn't mention.
Oh, yeah.
Which I know is so important to Todd and his family.
Yeah.
Of course.
Two wonderful boys, now 2 grandchildren. Both our boys are, it's a blessing to be able to raise kids and then see them be successful. Our youngest son, Zach's a lieutenant in the Army over in Germany now, serving our country. He's got his first true love. He's finally in love. He found an English girl in Wales. I'm going, son, you're making this way too difficult, but she's a lovely young lady. Our son Kevin has given us 2 beautiful grandchildren, Cora and Colton, and I get to get them out of bed twice a week. I go over as the grandpa and wait for them to wake up and get them pointed in the right direction, and then I run to work where it's a lot easier dealing with what I have to deal with than raising kids nowadays. But
where you find the time is just beyond me.
Yeah,
beyond me, bud.
Yeah, so I like to, I'm a busy guy. I'm a visionary. We can talk all day later about leadership. I'm the visionary guy.
Well, and also, I want to get back to Baja, but as I'm sitting here thinking, do you know that this past summer, did you run to Niagara Falls or Lewiston or something and then back in 48 hours?
Yeah, 48 hours. My goal was to do stay on my feet for 48 hours, run as much as possible, but obviously there's a lot of walking, a lot of crying, a lot of crawling. When you're up, the idea was to work through the mental and physical fatigue for 48 hours and keep on moving and see how many miles I could put in a 2-day stretch.
And then last year, was it a bike trip to Maine?
Yeah, a bike trip. So again, I try and do a crazy thing every year. It's just my thing. Because
your life's not hard enough.
As one does, right?
It's my outlet, right? It's to disengage from everything and do something. So it's usually about 6 months of planning and logistics to make it happen, and then whatever that crazy thing is. And those are the off years from Baja. Baja is the crazy thing that we do. But I rode my bike to Lebec, Maine. The reason being is it's the most eastern part in the continental United States. Wow. It's actually the part of America that's closest to the continent of Africa. People don't even realize that. That's how far east you're going. Oh, wow. But it's where the sun rises, where the sun hits first in the continental United States. So my crazy idea was leave my house and ride my bike there. So it took 11 days of camping and biking. And
Todd, you're wired different.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
He really is. Yeah,
that's a compliment, but
100%. Absolutely. Yeah, the utmost respect.
God bless.
So back to Baja. Sorry about that.
No, listen. Again, you're an onion. We want to peel these layers.
Yeah.
You're gonna cry then.
All right. So go. So for those who don't know about Baja.
Yeah, so the Baja 1000 is the world's longest, most difficult off-road car race. All right, it started back in the '60s and VW bugs, and someone came up with a crazy idea to do this rally-type race. And the Baja Peninsula is it's like the moon. Sometimes it's a different part of the earth. There's beaches, there's mountains, there's heat, there's cold. It's the Mexican people, which are part of the race. They're fantastic. They're just incredible. And you go down there and you try and run 1,000 miles. There's 11 different classes of vehicles, but we chose to do it in a 90 horsepower 2-wheel drive VW bug. And
you wouldn't want it to be easy.
Yeah. And we've done it 3 years, and we're happy to say the third year we finally completed. The first 2 years, can we say ass? We got our asses kicked. We got destroyed on this thing.
There you go.
We got beat up by the Baja. It overwhelmed us. It annihilated us. And we're all a bunch of A-type military-style personalities, and no one likes to lose. And so we went back the third year with a whole different mindset, a whole different team build, a whole different technology, and we were able to successfully beat the Baja. So
that's crazy. That's great. So you're not doing it this year?
No, I had to bow out because of the campaign year. We were scheduled to do it.
That's the crazy thing you're doing this year?
Yeah, so the campaign is crazy, right? Yeah, politics is crazy. I'd rather do the Baja.
I would imagine. Yeah. So anything? First of all, you don't even have an opponent, do you?
Nothing yet, but in the campaign mode, the best defense is a good offense. So we've been offensive since November.
Yep.
Had a couple of big successful events that you guys helped us out with too, and brought all our friends together just to make the statement. If you're going to challenge us, we're going to be in the fight because I love this job, but we don't take it for granted by any means.
I can't imagine anybody going against it. It would just be a suicide mission.
But don't forget, I beat a 16-year incumbent. So that's the way it's supposed to be. It's an elected position that you should be on your toes and you should be assuming someone's going to nip at your heels.
Who did not have the bona fides, nor did he have the popularity, the love of the community in the way that you do. So again,
and those are recipes for a successful campaign. But I sit back and I if you don't rely on your laurels. This is not a history lesson in being a good sheriff. It's tomorrow. What are you going to do for us tomorrow, right?
So you're saying you just need to go all out.
Go all out.
Would that have been advice that you would have given to, say, Josh Allen this past Sunday?
Or
maybe Sean McDermott?
Well, we talk about the Baja, right? And adapt and overcome to the ongoing situation, right? The tush push is a wonderful tactic, but sooner or later, when they obviously got your number on that, you got to be able to step back and say, let's try Cook off to the right hand side, or right, whatever. And I love Josh Allen. I was on the field. Weekend before last, I was actually blessed to be on the field for the first half of the game here.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Wait, tell me about that.
Yeah, so I got invited to go out in the flag presentation in the last home game. Myself and Sheriff Garcia from Erie County.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
And we got out so you had that real-time perspective on the field for the first half of that game. And I'm like, these guys and gals these people are amazing. The whole setup of the football NFL thing is a choreographed play that you don't even see from the stands or from the TV. And then the players, just amazing.
How big,
athletes.
how fast.
Yeah, how big, how fast, right? Monster people that could just outsprint any of us. And we're one of the cool things is I was lined up just ready to go on the field with the honor guard and the national anthem and Sean McDermott just walks up. He doesn't have to. He just walks up, sees me in uniform, and taps me on the shoulder and shakes my hand. Like, this guy's ready to play the biggest game of his NFL career. He's coming up just because I'm wearing a uniform. I want to say thank you. Very awesome. Very cool people.
These are people. Did you see Quarterback, the Netflix series last year?
No.
You should really watch it because I am just so impressed by one's ability to have to do it all in a 7-day work week without a day off. The psychology and the meeting with psychiatrists and the meditation that is required, the physical, the physicality, and then the massages and the cupping and
the ayahuasca trips. Yes.
Yeah. Right.
We were talking about Aaron Rodgers a couple of weeks ago. So
you need those things. Those are your outlets, right?
Right.
I haven't seen that part of it, so I don't know what I'm talking about. I like that you mentioned massages in there. I got to start trying that.
I just need to clarify though. I mean, I said Josh Allen. Like, I have no qualms with Josh Allen. He's just like he's a monster, and he's a rock star. And
I love him.
Just somebody to emulate. So,
listen,
anyway,
he got the pass there. It was there.
Yeah.
I don't know how falling backwards, being hit.
Well, that's Josh, right?
Pretty
he makes Machine Gun Kelly look kind of, he's the next level.
Yeah.
He put the ball there.
He did.
We all thought he was throwing it up for,
there was a chance.
It could be a punt.
Listen, should he have hit the orbit to Shakir? Probably.
Yeah, but he was under so much pressure.
Yeah,
I was screaming to my wife Marion, like, Shakir, he's wide open. But that's easy to say, except when you got the cornerback blitzing down on you, and no one's seen that blitz coming.
Yeah.
So he did the next best thing. He did a Josh, right? I'm going to scramble as long as I can and put this ball in play, and he did. Unfortunately, it was an incomplete pass, but
we'll talk Bills a little bit later in the episode because some fans have some pretty strong opinions about what the Bills should do next that I don't think anyone in this room is going to agree with. But
wow,
we'll get to that in a second. That's called a tease.
I don't know if I'm going to bite on that. That's dangerous.
There we go.
That's a tease, right?
Let's get back to your position as the Monroe County Sheriff. Most difficult part about it.
Wow. Well, I think I've been a law enforcement officer almost 40 years. 2020 was a year that we never expected to see. I'd already been sheriff for 2 years. I'm like, don't forget, I took over a corrupt police department in Greece, right? And it was only a 100-person police department. And I show up at this 1,200-person organization with 10 times the budget and 10 times the responsibility. But it was actually kind of fun and easy. And then 2020 smacked us right in the face. Whether it was the reforms, the massive reforms coming out of Albany, it rocked our world in law enforcement and public safety. When you talk about bail reform and raise the age and discovery reform, there were 6 of those. And then, of course, COVID kicks in there, right? And don't forget, I run an institution that houses people for a living, right? And they're in this confined space. There was at one time there was just COVID positive units in the Monroe County Jail, and now I got to encourage deputies to go in there and work in a COVID positive environment with your M95 mask on. And by the way, when you're done, just take a shower and go home and see your family.
Yeah, that's fine,
right? And remember the chaos of COVID, and then of course the incident and the murder of Floyd, Mr. Floyd, and Minneapolis, and May 30th was a day I never experienced before in my career, and I haven't experienced then. We lost 70 stores. The riots were utterly incredible, and I went home that night, 3:00 in the morning, going, "We got defeated. We lost the county of Monroe," and that went on for a while, and then it calmed down, and then we had the Prude incident that none of us knew about, and that popped back out, right? And so we had a whole month of September of civil unrest, and man, we're still trying to recover from 2020, and I'm just giving you a paraphrase of what occurred in that.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So that was definitely the most difficult time of my career, and just trying to manage and lead through that was a challenge.
Some of what you mentioned still reverberates today.
Today, absolutely.
Specifically, some of these reforms. So can you talk about some of those changes that were enacted in Albany back in 2020? Can you talk a little bit about how it is that those reforms are impacting our safety in your job in today?
Well, 100%. Yeah, we could do 4 or 5 episodes of this show just on the reforms. But if you take just ones that people are familiar with, and again, there were 6. You think about legalization of marijuana, right? Again, it needed to occur. I don't mind it occurring, but it occurred way too fast, where we legalized the possession and of marijuana, and even you can also grow your own marijuana. But we didn't open one store for 3 years. We didn't collect one tax dollar for 3 years. So the black market went out of control because that's who was selling marijuana before. And then we just opened up the flood market, and that brought a lot of violence to our county. that brought tons of violence.
I
And
didn't
that's what
know
people
this.
don't
Wow.
realize. And bail reform, and we're still dealing with people that are just repeat offenders. They're going out and stealing as much as they want to steal, as often as they want to steal, because they know there's no consequences, and they don't care about long-term consequences. It's irrelevant in their world. If we had some short-term consequences, like go sit down in the hooskow, that's what we called it when I was a kid. You know, I grew up in the city, and I remember a cop telling me, "You want to go downtown?" And we wanted no part of downtown. That was called booking, right? Now we can't bring half the people we arrest downtown. And that allows people that want to be criminals just to exasperate their criminality. And then, of course, you got discovery. It means nothing to most people unless you're a district attorney, and they're losing case after case. That's victims, and we're going out and doing successful arrests, and then we're presenting it to the system, and the system can't keep up through discovery reform, and they're throwing cases out of court. And victims aren't being justified. You know, they're not getting their justice in court. And, you know, I'm just scratching the surface. Raise the Age. We look at the number of kids being shot and murdered in our community, and look at when Raise the Age came about. And basically, we opened up the floodgates for kids to be involved in crime. And parents are fit to be tied. Some parents show up, you know, we'll have a car chase with a 14, 15-year-old kid at 3 o'clock in the morning. We'll call mom to come, and she's showing up with another kid, and she's in tears. She's scared to death, but she's looking at us to keep them. I'm like, we don't even have a system to keep them. You got to take them. And she's, I can't. I got to get the kids to school tomorrow. People have no idea what's occurring in front of us, and the crime rate we're seeing is out of control. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. The violence is off the charts, and people want to tell us the opposite. And throw smoke in our leg.
And I know I speak for a lot of people. I am just so fed up with. You know,
Crime
well,
going
look at
down.
this chart or look at this graph. You know,
yeah.
like they're cherry picking numbers, they're cherry picking statistics.
And they're putting data sets on human beings in this chaos, and that's not fair to do. And of course, it's going down. It was at record highs.
Yeah, right.
Sure,
Right?
yeah.
It's record.
Right.
Yeah, it's gone down. But if you look at the 9-year average before the reforms, and you look at the now we got 5 years of good data since the reforms, it's clearly up 40, 50, 60%. You know, that's homicide, shooting victims. That's reckless and dangerous. That means I shot into your house or into your car that was occupied. That's prohibited use of weapon. That's gunplay in the city that didn't hit anything. They're off the charts.
So what's the answer?
Well, I think we go back to our legislators and we say clearly the intent of the reforms were okay, right? And every good business plan, every good model needs to be reevaluated and just make adjustments, because you can't make the perfect plan. And we just got to encourage our legislators to sit down with professionals and let's find some tweaks to the law that'll make us safer and be able to fulfill the tenets. It's not difficult. And we did that. We got proposed legislation that we can make this happen. It's really pretty easy.
And I know what you mean, but define legislator.
So legislator, we're talking about state legislators. They make
Right, there we
laws at the state level. So our state senators, our state assembly folks that write law in Albany, and then a governor signs it. And everybody wants to point at Kathy Hochul. Kathy's got the governor. Easy target, and maybe some justification there for we could do more. But law is written by legislators, right?
Right.
And governors sign it and execute it in law. And we need to get our legislators motivated just to come back to the table and sit with us. And how do we do both? Keep the tenets of these reforms. Again, marijuana is a simple one to talk about. Legalize it. I don't care. People are getting drunk all day long. If they're using alcohol, they're abusing it. So, but open up a few stores so it's not the black market selling marijuana. Because the black market is dangerous, right? And that's all we're saying. And we could do both at the same time.
So
And I'm squeaking the hell out. It sounds like the wind out there, so I hope
You're
this
good.
squeak.
I think it is the
I'm
way.
animated when I talk, so you got me excited.
we
about something.
love that. So really, it comes down to, well, let me dumb this down and tell me if I'm wrong. Comes from the Senate Majority Leader, more likely than not, and Speaker of the Assembly, who are, and they're both downstate legislators. Who are then bringing to their members, you need to vote in this manner in regard to these issues. Otherwise, and then we've got local elected officials who feel beholden to their leaders, and for that reason, they're voting, from my perspective, in a way that is completely and absolutely wrong. Is there any? Am I wrong in this regard?
No, I don't think you're wrong. I think just like any other human being, they just got to figure out what's in it for them, right? And maybe it's more important that they're beholden to a party. I don't know. All I know is I've knocked on their doors and I've asked them to come to the table, and I begged them. I've shown them my information and why, as a public safety professional, that I just need these couple tools to keep our community safer. And until that message gets loud enough or clear enough, or there's what's in it for them is very clear, And we're not here to kick people out of office. We're just saying, let us support you, because we know there's pressure from downstate, right? So let us support you here at the county level. That we'll support you, and
We'll make sure that you're reelected.
or whatever that means to you, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we're not here to boo people. But there's clearly a need for adjustments to the public safety programs that we have. Clearly, I mean, it's just as clear as day. No one can argue with me.
So are there any electeds who you feel are exemplary, or who feel are leaders in regard to this particular, whether they're state legislators or otherwise?
Yeah, well, I use Senator Cooney as an example. We've had conversation with him with the stolen vehicle problem, and he wanted to make some adjustments to what's called grand larceny in the fourth degree. That's one of the subsections is stealing a motor vehicle at a certain dollar value, and he pushed forward with that on his own without talking to us. So I called him because that's only half of the solution to that part of the problem, and that's just one solution, because we don't arrest these young kids for grand larceny. He doesn't know, right? He's not a cop.
Yeah, right, yeah.
We arrest him for criminal possession of stolen property, another felony, because I can't prove he stole it 2 days later, but I can prove he's in possession of it.
Sure.
So that's what I'm saying. Just come to the table with us and help us. Even if for like Senator Cooney wanted to do the right thing, and we called him real quick, and he goes, "I didn't know that," and I'm like, "Well, give us a call. We'll help you out. Write this legislation that could." But that's even.
And then did Jeremy course correct at that
Yeah,
point?
he's trying to correct it. He's trying to correct the legislation.
And I've always
I
found him to
give
be
credit
very
for that. That's
responsive.
all I'm asking for. Be part of the conversation, right?
yeah,
Just
right.
make us part of the conversation when you're talking about public safety. Just like if you're talking about school districts, talk to a freaking school teacher, right? If you're right. Talk to an end user of that product you're trying to put on the table. You're talking about, emergency room services. Talk to an ED doctor, or more importantly, talk to the discharge nurse. I bet she knows more about that organization than anybody else, right?
Yeah.
Talk to these end users.
They
They won't though, and that's when it gets me frustrated as hell.
Yeah.
Whether you like me or not, I'm an expert in public safety. I've been doing this for 40 years with 3 different police
We live in a
departments.
culture
but
right now in which people
can you
just
just
wanna,
talk to the experts, and
they're all Google doctors.
we can
they're
do
all
it
Google
right.
economists. Yeah.
And we can do both at the same time. We can keep the tenants of reform. I've said it a million times, and also make it safer for all of us.
I mean, it seems so simple, or so clear that things need to change. I mean,
Right.
you have the stats. I can't imagine the stress that it puts on not only yourself as the sheriff, but everyone under you. I mean, it must be so difficult right now. Would you say right now is the most difficult time you've ever had in law enforcement?
Well, I don't know if I'd say ever, but in my career, yeah. We can go back to the 60s. We can go back to, we got some bad stuff in the history of law enforcement, right? We haven't been the perfect organization by any means. You go back to, everybody wants to, say America's so bad. Live through a civil war and then tell me, how bad America, right?
Right,
It's
yeah.
bad, but it's not the worst it's ever. Maybe it's just my rosy colored glasses. I'm a positive person I'm not worried about the history. I'm worried about what we could do tomorrow, right? So, and all I know is that I want to hire cops, right? And when we sit around and we just bastardize law enforcement, we yell at them and scream at them and say they're the most imperfect organization ever created, which is not true. Every organization has human beings in them, right? And every human beings make mistakes. So in the real estate market, it's not a perfect environment, right? And
There's some agents on our list.
Yeah.
We can name a couple.
And Google, right? That's not the perfect environment. The United States Army is not the perfect world to work, right? So, but man, we've beaten up this institution. It's very hard to motivate young people. I'm sure there's not a lot of parents sitting around the table right now going, "Hey, Johnny, hey, Janie, why don't you think about being a cop?" After what we've done to them for the last few years. So it's definitely difficult and more difficult to motivate these guys and gals to go out and just keep on chasing the same criminal over and over. Because sooner or later, they're going to get bit in that story, right? The cop's going to get bit. It's going to be a car pursuit with 2 or 3 dead people involved. And they're going to yell at the cop for pursuing a criminal, right? So
Yeah, doing your job.
Yeah. And especially when we chased them already 2 or 3 times, right? It's very defeating. So that's part of my bailiwick is we got to remember, we're honorable, we're noble. This is a great profession, and we're the good guys in this story. And I'll never stop telling cops that we're the good guys.
I love that. I love that message. Seriously, that's awesome. What is the starting salary of a sheriff right
So
now?
you think about this, Mark. I'm developing a program right now in the city, and in particular in the 19th Ward, to get young people to think about the career in law enforcement. It's a leadership development program, and we're trying to start like the Wilson Magnet Boys and Girls Club neighborhood, and be centralized because it's also an anti-poverty initiative that I'm doing. It's a diversification for the sheriff's office, and we need deputies, right? So here's the point I was making: is we can hire jail deputies. These are sworn civil service, unionized peace officers at $70,000 at 18 years old.
Not bad.
18 years old, $70,000, no school debt.
That's a jail deputy.
That's a jail deputy. You can't be a police officer in New York State till 21,
Oh, okay.
right?
Okay.
But you can be a jail deputy, which is the same pension almost, right? It's a retirement job.
Yeah.
You're earning your pension at 18. These are wonderful jobs. So we're really working hard now to try and get some kids from that 19th ward. And we're going to expand it out, but we got Aquinas on board. We got Wilson Magnet on board. We got University of Rochester, Boys and Girls Club of America. We got ABC's on board.
Great.
Everybody wants a part of this because it's the right thing to do.
And is there a change in salary for somebody who's actually on patrol?
No, it's a slight change, but it's a whole different civil service process and a
Okay.
whole different age.
But it's still about
requirement.
$70,000 a
Yeah,
year.
well, way more than that. That's the starting. Yeah, these.
Oh, so that's what I'm looking
Yeah,
at.
these guys. Yeah, so at about a year and a half to make $70,000 in any law enforcement job is not a difficult thing now. Just with the mandatory overtime, with the ability to make overtime if you want to make overtime, and then it's going up exponentially from there with promotions.
And I guess what I'm trying to get at is there enough financial incentive? So somebody's been in the force for 5 years or something. What do you think they're pulling in?
Oh, 110, 120.
Okay, so
Yeah, yeah.
that's actually a good sale.
It's a good salary.
Do you think that that information is promulgated sufficiently enough to actually motivate prospective?
No, well, not enough to motivate them over all the negatives that come with it right
Yeah,
now.
that's
right?
too
So,
bad. What a
again,
shame.
let's just take a minority candidate. We all want to diversify. Who doesn't want to diversify? It's just for the right reasons, not for a number or stat. Diversity is a beautiful thing, right? I mean, you want to diversify organizations, in particular law enforcement, not only just to represent the neighborhoods you're policing, but also I think about females. You know, if I have we interview rape victims for a living, right? And it's sometimes it's just better to have a female deputy interviewing
Absolutely.
a rape victim, right? So that's just an example of diversification. The football team, we talk about the Buffalo Bills. You can have 11 Josh Allens on the field, but you're going to be the suckiest football team in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
Right? But he's a phenomenal athlete. We were talking about him, but you need a linebacker. You need you're a wide receiver. You need a cornerback, right? That's diversification of a football team. So diversity is a beautiful thing if you're a manager. It's something you really, really crave. But if you think about that, I mean, we've had a hard time drawing diverse candidates to law enforcement because A, we're yelling at them all the time and saying they're bad, but B, if you're a good diverse candidate, by the time you're 21, every other organization's already took a stab at you, right?
Sure,
The Googles of the world, right?
Yeah,
The real
yeah.
estate market, everybody wants to diversify. So we want to grab these kids now younger at with that opportunity of the jail bureau thing, that we can get them right out of high school. The city fire department's been doing it for years. They had a program at East High School for years where they've trained firefighters to become Rochester firefighters. A lot of these guys have retired already.
Wow,
So we're just
amazing.
trying to catch up to that opportunity.
Yeah.
Mark, I know you wanted to chat about ICE because that's obviously
Oh, that's
big in the
great.
news.
And I also know that our guest, Sheriff Baxter, has another meeting. So maybe one more question?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
So social media blew up this past weekend about ICE.
Yeah.
And ICE was kicking in the doors of Rochesterians and pulling families out. And I know that they can't and they won't work with local law enforcement. But I'm sure you've got an inside perspective as to what's actually playing out right now.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of information. I mean, the media's called me multiple times. There was speeches given that sheriffs are going to be part of roundup, so my phone started ringing. Obviously, there's ICE agents in Rochester. We know that in the Monroe County doing ICE-related work. They're federal law enforcement functions, but we're often not aware of that. So it's hard to tell exactly what's occurring, how many people they've apprehended, if 1, if 20,
So
if 30.
you don't even know how many have been apprehended.
No.
Do you even have verification if people have been, or you don't even have that?
No, we haven't seen any, and quite often. And again, I want to be very clear because this gets people very riled up. There's ICE detainers that sometimes law enforcement will react to and say there's a detainer. But in our world, we work off of probable cause and we work off of judges and signatures from judges. So we don't react to ICE detainers or things like that. But where I was going with that is someone could be detained in the Monroe County Jail. So that's one way we'd find out that people are being detained. But even that, with ICE detainers, we can't put anybody in the Monroe County Jail with a detainer. We have to have a magistrate sign a securing order. So as of right now, we have no one in the Monroe County Jail that's been held on a magistrate's
But there's a
signature.
possibility they're in Batavia.
Could be in Batavia, they could be in Buffalo, they could be anywhere, but excuse me, we don't have anybody that's detained in the Monroe County Jail. And we've seen, reports of activity out there with ICE, but I don't even know if they've apprehended one person or if there are 15 people.
Okay.
They don't report it to us,
Yeah.
And
And again, I think it's really important to reiterate what you just said a moment ago. I'm not suggesting that it's not happening. It's just we don't have the data.
Yeah. Again, they could maybe they detain 20 people. I don't know.
Yeah.
And that seems weird to people, but the FBI does police work all the time. The DEA does, the ATF. All these people are doing law enforcement functions, and sometimes they call us because they need backup or they need a local law enforcement nexus. A lot of times they don't. They go out and do their own style of law enforcement. They could go if they're a bank robbery suspect for the FBI, will go grab them, pick them up, and if they don't need support, they don't call us. It's not abnormal.
Yeah. Okay.
For us not to understand.
Okay.
Well, thank you for that, and,
Yeah.
and thank you for your time. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
again, Mark led with it that people in this community feel safer because you're the one in charge,
thank you.
and it's 100% true. The mentality that you have is 100% what we need given what we're up against here. So thank you again.
Thank you. It's
An
humbling.
elected official that we can all rally behind, somebody that we respect and are thrilled to donate to, thrilled to pull a lever come November. Thank you for being in this world an increasing anomaly.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It means a lot to me, guys. Thanks.
Of course. Well, we don't want to keep you from your meeting. I know you got important stuff to do.
Yeah, we got an auditorium waiting for me right now. So if you guys
then-
want to take the show down
Get out
there,
of here. All right.
All right, we'll pause it. We'll come back. We'll do
Awesome.
a break. We'll do a break.
that's
There we
awesome.
go.
All right, we're back. Thank you again to Todd Baxter. Unbelievable. Is he real? Is he a real person?
It is just so hard, unless you know him personally, it is so hard to fathom and understand what a truly unusual, not in the pejorative sense, what a truly unusual guy he is. He is just, he's remarkable. I'm just such
And that's his attitude all the time.
Oh, he never
It's
has a bad day.
incredible. It's
Never.
incredible.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, how many of us would just crumble under the pressure?
Oh dear God! I like yes.
All of us?
Yeah. He's clearly I'm a big fan.
Speaking of crumbling under pressure, I wanted to get an update, Mark. You had a hot sauce challenge last week.
Oh yeah.
We need to get the update because we were not feeling great for you going into it.
Okay,
If you missed it,
all right. So go
yeah,
ahead.
you go. You can.
No.
you reset.
You tee it up.
All right. So you went to Chicken Out Rock, right?
Chicken Out.
And then you watched what's the name of the show?
Hot
again?
Ones?
Hot Ones, right? So
Yes.
the show where a guest is being interviewed and they're eating hot wings that get progressively
yep.
hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter. So you did your own kind of version on that in line with the show, right?
Yeah, well, I didn't. So there's a company in town called Karma Sauce,
Okay.
and they actually have 2 sauces that are in season 26 of Hot Ones, which is really remarkable. I mean, like so they did an event at Chicken Out. There were 4 tasters, and so as the season 26 premiere with Bad Bunny was being broadcast, we're then eating the same chicken wings with the exact same sauce.
like a watch party.
Yeah, it was a watch party. Yeah, there were about 200 and some people. There were 200 people. I don't
Nice.
know. And well, you've actually had dinner with me when I've had a wing. Go ahead.
Not a hot sauce guy.
I am not at all.
I knew you were going to be in trouble when you asked Paulie and I last week on the podcast. What would you consider Frank's hot sauce on the scale?
Oh yeah.
Is that like a 6?
Yeah.
Like no,
Not even close.
it's like a 1 or 2. But you were prepared for this. Did we scare you into it? Is that what happened?
Oh no, my gut.
Literally.
My gut told me like you got a pregame.
Yep.
So I literally knocked back half a bottle of Mylanta, half a bottle of Pepto-Bismol
Just before the event.
just before the pregame.
Coat the stomach.
Coated the stomach, and I got through the first 7 without any difficulty.
I was impressed by this. I was very impressed.
I was shocked, and I got hats off to Karma Sauce, Liftoff in particular, which was the number 2 sauce that I tasted.
Okay.
It's just this great blend of coconut and heat, and it was
Nice.
it was really delicious. It was really great. So I got through 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I bit into number 8, and it didn't even taste good. Like
Just burn.
It tasted.
What was it
awful.
called? Satan's asshole?
Yes, more or less. I mean, I have no idea what it was called, but it was ugly. And so thankfully, I think you might know this. Thankfully, they brought me a glass of milk, and I didn't realize like how ameliorative
yeah.
milk is. Like you just knock it back, and like it takes away. Well, I did this, like knocked back this whole milk,
A gallon.
a gallon. Like 3 hours later, my stomach and my system reminds me, oh, I'm lactose intolerant.
Oh no! But in that moment, you're like, I need anything.
I
What's gonna
did,
make this better?
and you
Yeah.
know what? Honestly, like I had a peaceful, restful night.
Okay.
Because literally there was nothing in my system.
out.
I can't
Completely
believe
cleared
I'm discussing this publicly. So there's literally nothing in my system. I had a restful night. It was a great day. And again, hats off to Karma Sauce because these guys just crushed it.
Did any of the other Rochester celebrity guests finish all of the sauces?
I don't think we need to use the word celebrity. I think we can just say gaster taster.
Did any of the people that were there with you finish all of the sauces?
Yes.
Really? Wow.
The others did.
Every single one?
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah, I was just like,
Did they also just chug my Lento?
No, they were just sitting there like, like filing their nails, like having a day. Yeah, it was great. But anyway, hats off to them.
So I'm still impressed.
Well,
Still very impressed.
Thank you, bud. Yeah.
All right, let's chat about another sad thing.
What's that?
Our Bills. R.I.P. to this season.
Oh,
what a game.
Go
What
ahead.
a game.
So what are your thoughts? Like
They were there. They had a chance. You have the ball. You're down 3. I mean,
yeah.
one of these times it's got to go the other way, right? But it's, I don't know. As a Bills fan, and I know many who are far more hardcore Bills fans than I, it was tough to wake up the next day, knowing the opportunity that was out of them, and the fact that it literally slipped through their fingers, slipped through Dalton Kincaid's fingers.
Yeah.
I said earlier in the podcast, the fact that Josh Allen even got that pass near him is unbelievable.
Incredible. But you would agree that they did not bring it in the first half.
No.
Josh Allen was sloppy.
Played really tight.
It seemed as if we had a defense comprised of 11 separate individuals who were each playing a game, but it took them until probably midway through the second quarter to find some cohesion and begin behaving as a team. They come out in the second half, and all of a sudden they realize, like, oh yeah, we were supposed to actually enter this game, and it's supposed to be a run game, not a pass game.
We beat these guys before doing this strategy.
Exactly. So the first few moments of the second half, I'm like, we're going to win this thing. We are going to win this thing. And then it just fell apart.
I mean, listen, I don't like the Chiefs. I'm so just over them being in the Super Bowl.
I actually do like the Chiefs, but go ahead.
But you've got to, you got to tip your cap to their defensive coordinator.
Oh, Spags? Yeah.
And their offensive coordinator. I mean, the final drive after the incompletion to Dalton Kincaid, where they were able to ice it. I mean, 2 unbelievable play calls.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't have a chance.
No, not a chance.
Not a chance.
I mean, Andy Reid, Spags, you've got Travis Kelce to a lesser degree, and then, of course,
Mahomes.
Mahomes. I mean, like,
it's scary. He's 29.
Yeah.
He can play. You can play for another 10 years.
I know.
Easily.
I know. I think we learned a lot. I mean, I know there's a lot of criticism. You're actually saying,
well, there is a bit of a groundswell here from not all certainly, but some Bills fans. McDermott's got to go.
Yeah,
the coach that's brought you to the playoffs, how many years in a row, and how many wins, just can't get over that hump against the Chiefs. I don't subscribe to that. I don't think that's the solution.
I don't buy into it either. I really don't.
I think you got to keep building. Is what it comes down to. We saw what the defense was at the end of the season. I mean, it was a shell of itself. The injuries took a toll on it. And you've got to get more weapons for Josh Allen. I mean,
I think he's got the weapons, but I think
you still need an alpha. We talked about it with Dan a couple weeks ago. You've got to have that go. They didn't have the go-to. They didn't. They didn't have the go-to. It's crunch time. It's
okay. You're talking specifically receivers, not running back.
Correct, because I think Cook is definitely that guy.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, Cook's been unbelievable.
Yeah. And we got all right. So I agree, but I think that we've got some real opportunity to grow our offense next year. I mean, I think we've got some really, really talented receivers who are going to do well next year. So we'll see. But like you, I don't subscribe to the fact that that we've got to get rid of our coach. I mean,
no, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's absolutely crazy. That's you're hurt. That's your gut reaction. You're lashing out.
It's akin to blaming blaming Sean McDermott is akin to blaming the refs for our loss in this game last week.
Sure, yeah.
Were there a couple of bad calls? Possibly.
Were they terrible at spotting the ball? Yes.
Yeah. but I really believe that we lost that game in the first half when it is that we didn't bring our all.
Sure.
So,
yeah. That and again, with all of that said, in the end, they had a shot.
Yeah. Right. Because we lost by 3.
Yeah. You're down by 3.
Once again,
you have the ball. You're driving. I felt so bad for Josh Allen. Did you watch the post-game press conference at all? Just dejected.
It is actually on my list of things to do this weekend because what I've read and what I've heard. I mean, he's just he was dejected, but also once again, he comes and shines through as just the leader that he is.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to watch it, and maybe I'll find some inspiration or depression. I'm not sure what the case
A little
may
bit of
be.
both.
So
We'll column A,
anyway,
we'll column B.
yeah. So
Super Bowl, Chiefs. I guess you're gonna go. With the Chiefs,
I
think?
really am. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want the Eagles to do the tush push all the way down the field. Just every play, every single play. You didn't do it enough last week. We need more. We need more of this.
It's like guys, like four attempts at the 1 yard.
The amount of complaining.
Like, are you kidding me?
I have never heard a referee, by the way, threaten to just give the offensive touchdown. Did you catch that?
Yeah, right. Yes.
Essentially, it was a scolding of, if you do that again, they score. They don't have to get in, but they'll just score.
Insane.
So, we'll see.
The last thing, and then we'll just call it. We'll call an end to this week.
Yeah.
Super Bowl. Kendrick Lamar.
I know that's what you're most excited about.
I
the Super
am.
Bowl.
I'm a big fan of Kendrick Lamar's. Love.
I know that.
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah.
What's his? Because I don't know. What is his reputation as a live performer? Because we know, I mean, his music's incredible, but
Actually, I can't speak to the general perception. I can only see some concert. I speak to the concert films that I've seen, and I find them very interesting, very entertaining. And there's a particular reason why it is that this guy won the Nobel Award a few years ago. And I think that the same lyricism, I think his same artistry that he brings to what it is that he's recording, I think he brings a similar sensibility to the visuals that one sees playing out on stage.
which is going to be really important for this.
Very
important.
Yeah. So there's definitely a visual component and an artistry that he brings to the stage that I find really
Do
compelling.
you think he's going to get lost in a maze of mirrors? Do you think that's going to happen?
Are you bringing that up because I was just so personally offended by that? Because that was he was just so
Weeknd.
awful.
Not great. Not great.
So you agree with me?
Yeah, that was terrible.
Did you know that
I'm not
like,
a fan. I'm not a fan. I'm sorry.
I am
I'm
not a fan. Like
Every song. Listen, I played the music on the radio for 10 years.
So the same
They all
goddamn
sound the
song
same.
over and
They sound
over
the
and
same.
like, didn't we just play this? Wasn't this last year's?
To this day, if I have the radio on in my car, or if I'm listening to my Spotify and it's just on a shuffle, if one of his songs comes up, I will change the channel. I will go to the next song.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
fine. Whatever.
I'll never forget stupidly saying something online about how terrible a performance was, and
You got attacked.
Somebody was just like, somebody said, in related news, old man pounding his fist at the sky. I'm like, so it was like, no, I mean, like, he's banal. I mean, like, it's
Did you not
anodyne.
know that Mark loves Kendrick Lamar? I mean, you made that
like,
very clear.
So then it was like, well, who would you like to see? I was like, I don't know. Let's see, SZA. Let's Kendrick Lamar. I mean,
You're getting your wish.
Nicki Minaj. Like, there were any number of people, and I think I kind of shut them up at that point in time.
Do you think there's going to be any special guest
I
appearances?
think isn't SZA? I think that SZA was announced
Okay.
also as a special guest.
That's always my favorite
or
part.
maybe Kendrick just told me that last week.
Will you be there? Will you be getting lost in the maze of mirrors?
No. I'll be sitting in the comfort of the house. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. So.
All right, excellent. Next week on the podcast, very special guest. I have to do no preparation for this one.
Who do we have?
My mother-in-law
Lauren Dixon.
happens to be the founder of Dixon Schwabel, one of the most successful marketing companies in the Rochester area, and
she's
and
just
beyond.
she's just an icon.
And her story is unbelievable.
Which one? I mean, like, she's got so many.
How she started.
Yeah.
And I think that's one that not enough people know about. And it's certainly something that I definitely want to spend a lot of time with.
I mean, not only is she a monster in the world of business, but she's also a very good and loyal friend. She's personally generous in a way I know nobody else to be.
Unbelievably. I mean,
But that's just on a personal level. Philanthropically, what it is that she and Mike do for this community, both in terms of the checks that they write, but the money that they raise as a result of their fundraising efforts and their philanthropy.
she's supposed to be retired now. She's on like 7 boards. It's wild.
Yeah, it is insane. Yeah, so it'll be a great conversation.
Okay. All right. Well, looking forward to that. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you again next time.